In this video, we're talking about recalls or potential recalls.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them when we look at this one particular company. It seems to be a little bit never-ending.
And we also have a lot of experience with this because both TFL and also us personally, for example, you,
Yeah.
we own Stellantis vehicles. The latest story has to do with the Jeep Wagoneer SUVs, the big boys, the truck-based SUVs, and also the Ram 1500s. And you've owned a 1500 also.
Yep.
You had a Rebel.
I did. Now I have a 2500. But I used to have a Grand Cherokee as well, and I own a Wrangler too. So been around a lot of the Stellantis products. There's my Ram right there.
Yeah. So in this video, let's discuss the current potential issue. This is not a recall quite yet, but it could affect 150,000 vehicles from 2022, which is a lot of vehicles. This story was written on TFLcar.com because of the SUV by Zach Butler. So this has to do with the e-torque system. Did you have an e-torque V8 on your Rebel?
I did not, no.
Did not, but we did. So TFL also had a Rebel, and our truck had an e-torque system, which is basically a mild hybrid system, like a little electric motor, which is connected to the engine via the serpentine belt. So this is what we're talking about here. This is a very mild system, so these trucks cannot drive on electricity alone. So it's basically a little helper, starter motor, generator. But 80 owners have reported that at slow speeds, the vehicle shifts into park, applies the emergency brake, and intermittently after this, it won't restart.
Yeah, so some people are saying that their vehicle will restart in that emergency brake position, and some people can't get it to restart at all. So basically leaving them stranded on the side of the road and needing a tow to the dealership to get this recall sorted out and back on the road.
Yeah, and here's kind of one image of, I believe this is a Grand Wagoneer frame with this V8 engine, and obviously they use 8-speed automatics and there are transfer cases, so you can see it right there. So this is not a recall yet, but they're being investigated. And of course, FCA and Stellantis. By the way, FCA is still a name being used because Stellantis is a global company, and for North America, FCA US is still the label for America. So it's a little bit...
Seems overly confusing to me, but
yeah, it's a little confusing.
I keep calling them Stellantis these days.
Yes, it's a new company that's been around for several years. But let's talk about some of the experiences we've had.
Yeah,
and
we've had a lot of them.
You've owned 4 Stellantis, or 2 Jeeps and 2 Rams at least.
Yep.
So your truck, I mean, you've had how many recalls in the last couple of years?
I've had 6 safety recalls and 1 emissions-related recall that have all now been fixed. So, there's no outlying recalls on my truck right now.
And we just checked this.
Yeah, we just checked it this morning. They're all completed. But it seems like it's just constant that I get one of these recall notices in the mail. And yeah, there's just, for a while there were like 3 open recalls that there weren't fixes for. So Ram was telling me there was something wrong with my truck, but no solution to fix it. That's why we saw a stop sale on these trucks for a while. So yeah, it's just a lot of recalls. To have 7 recalls in a truck that I've only owned for 2 years is definitely a little bit frustrating.
But do you want to get rid of it? Are you unhappy with it? Are you going to walk away?
No, I'm not going to walk away, and that's because every new vehicle I've ever purchased has had recalls. I haven't owned anything that has never needed a recall. And you could look at it both ways. Like, it is good that they're going back and fixing all these things, and it is free of charge. So, it's not costing me any money to get it fixed, but it can definitely be a headache.
It can cost you time.
Yep, for sure.
Going to the dealership, going back, going there, going back. Let's talk about this particular one that has to do with the tailgate may open while driving. So TFL has owned many Ram trucks too. We've had Ram Rebel, we've had Ram Stubby truck, 2-door base truck. We've had a TRX. Currently we have the Cummins 2500 at TFL truck as a company vehicle. But this affected 1.224 million trucks.
Yeah, that is a lot of trucks. And you can see, like, this is for a 1500 right now, but a lot of things we're noticing with these recalls is that they'll affect a lot of different trucks in the lineup because, the software is the same and there's a lot of part sharing going on. So, if it's, there you go. It's effective
1500, 2500, 3500.
Yeah, so they all use the same tailgate basically.
Yeah.
So if you have a fault in one of them, you're going to have a fault in all of them. And out of the 7 recalls I had on my truck, this is the only recall that I actually experienced firsthand.
What happened?
So I was driving into work one day, and I did notice a bang at some point while I was driving. Didn't think much of it, but got a little closer to the office, and someone rolled their window down and yelled at me that my tailgate was open. So I quickly pulled over, looked in the back, noticed my snowboard was missing, so flipped around and retraced my steps. I ended up finding my snowboard, but my tailgate definitely let go. Some people might say, well, maybe you didn't just shut it, all the way, but I can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident that I shut my tailgate all the way. Everyone in the office knows I'm pretty rough with everything. I like slamming things closed, so I probably shut it all the way.
And we usually carry a lot of gear in our trucks, right? We usually have tonneau covers. You have a camper currently on your truck, so we would like to carry a lot of things. That's why we have trucks.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that every time I shut my truck, I know there's stuff back there, and I want to make sure it's secure. So I don't think it was my fault. I think that definitely let go while I was driving.
So you experienced this, and it said, obviously Ram has acknowledged it. There was a recall. They did something about it. It talks about misaligned tailgate strikers as well, the latching mechanism. But you experienced it. It wasn't super bad, but it could have been worse, right?
Yeah, definitely could have been worse. It was an old beater snowboard that was already damaged and trashed. So that didn't matter. I didn't have to buy a new board or anything. I found the board. It fell out at a low speed while I was close to my neighborhood. But yeah, I could have been going up I-70 on my way to the mountains or something, and
it could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse going 70, 80 miles an hour.
So I used to own a F-150 hybrid, 2021. I've had several recalls on that truck. I did not experience anything dramatic, something that was dangerous or scary. I have a Chevy Colorado right now. Definitely has experienced a couple of recalls. My truck went dead in my driveway trying to update itself. Not a huge deal. It was just a little bit of a misconvenience.
That one was frustrating, though. I remember that one.
Yeah, and actually, it took me a day to recharge it fully, so it actually came back to life. It did come back to life. So, yeah, these things happen, but it's interesting. We want to hear from you. Every vehicle, there's no vehicle that exists that has never had a recall. It's because, things happen over time. Maybe sometimes they upgrade trucks or vehicles. Sometimes they take care of these problems. A lot of people now do OTAs, right? Over-the-air updates where you can take care of a lot of software problems right there. Does it bother you guys? Or have you experienced something terrible because of this?
Yeah, it's definitely annoying whenever this happens. It's good that it doesn't cost the consumer money, but especially when you have multiple vehicles. I just got a recall notice last week for one of my motorcycles, and it was for the silliest thing. It's for a kid's pit bike, my little teal and white bike that I use for just cruising around the neighborhood. The left handlebar grip didn't have enough glue in it. So what am I going to do? Squirt some glue in there, or am I going to spend hours trailering it to a dealership?
Yeah.
Probably the first option. So
yeah.
Some of them are silly. Some of them are real safety concerns. But no matter what it is, it's frustrating when you spend all this money on a brand new vehicle and it has so many issues.
But nonetheless, like you said, you wouldn't really get rid of your Ram.
I'd still do the same exact thing. Yeah.
Our Ram, by the way, this is before we lifted it and put it on 37s. We had a LU cab on the back of this one at this cold start. I just drove it this weekend, last weekend. I just drove it, and I still enjoyed it. It's comfortable. It's powerful. I was towing a boat with it to the lake and back. Still, and we've kept it for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Still a pretty great vehicle, even though it's been in the dealer a couple times or 3 times.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're great vehicles. It's just sometimes, I think that speaks to how good they are, is that you're willing to put up with multiple trips to the dealership and keep it for a number of years. I don't think we've owned many trucks as long as we've had this one right here.
I think the original F-150 Raptor we've owned for 3 years. TRX we owned for 1.5 years, but this is one of the longest trucks that we've owned. So let us know what you guys think about this situation with recalls, and we'll see you next time at alltfl.com, where you can find everything automotive in one place.